Well, welcome today back to Music with Tony. I'm Tony, your host, and this is the first time you notice there's not a guitar in my hand. Well, for the moment, there's not. So today I wanted to actually go over a little bit of music theory and explain a little bit like how I started and how I learned. And I'm going to share some of these with you folks, and maybe it will help you too understand music theory. Because when I first got introduced to music theory, I thought it was this mountain that I really couldn't climb. It was like, oh wow, we're talking about flats and sharps and what all this what chords are made up of and scales and it's actually not that bad once you know what you're like listening for and understanding how music kind of works. And so, like, when you hear a song on the radio, you're hearing a lot of times it's chords being played. So, chords in general, like, music theory is actually very numeric too. So, like, a major chord is a 1-3-5, it's called. So, let's say you're playing in the scale of C, we'll call C. C's the one with no flats or sharps. Um, and so you have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then back to C. So let's say one is going to be the C, and then three is going to be the E, and then five is going to be the C, D, E, F, G. Sorry, I had a brain fart. G. And so now you're wondering, well, how do you know that? How do you just counted on your fingers and then all of a sudden you came up with these three notes? Well, there's this method that when I first started learning music theory, and I don't really know where I got it from. I just know all of a sudden it was like I don't know if I was scrolling through a book or whatever and came across it, but it's called the circle of notes is what I call it. And it's actually because when you it's a circle because it keeps going round and round. So basically, what you end up doing is all the notes you hear they're in a pattern to each other. So when you play, like when you hear, okay, hey, this is an E, you know exactly that an F comes after that, and then an F sharp, and then a G, and then G sharp, A flat, which is the same note, then an A. So this kind of tells us um, what notes make up this circle. And so through this circle here, you can discover any scale, any notes, any chord, just by knowing where you're playing. Like on your guitar, you know that your E string, you know that it's E, A, D, G, B, and then E is your strings. And then from there, if you're open E string, that starts on an E. So you know that your first fret is going to be an F, and then an F sharp, and then you're going to be a G, and continuing on. And each string has that pattern of what it follows for these notes. So here, so let's say we're starting off, on a D. Then your next note moving up is going to be E flat, D sharp. Which, by the way, these that are in, they have a slash on them, are the same exact note. So D sharp, E flat is the same note. E, F, then F sharp, G flat. Then we go to G, G sharp, A flat, A, A sharp, B flat, then B, then C sharp, D flat, and then back to the D. So you notice I got some a pattern up here, R, which I call that the root. So let's say you want to know we'll stick with the C scale. That's what we started earlier. Oops. So the C scale, so the root would be a C because that's where we're starting from. So then H is a half step and W is a whole step. So what a whole step is each one of these is a half step. So when you're going, so a half step from C would be, D flat, C sharp. So we're going to go, a whole step would be to D. So that's going to be the next one. And then here we have another whole step. So from F sharp, E flat, or I'm sorry, D sharp, E flat to E. That's going to be the next one. And then from there, then we're going into a half step, which is to the F. And then from F, we're going to another whole. and then a hole, and then another hole. So by the time you get to your seventh, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So when you hear like like what I was sharing earlier about the chords, like a 1, 3, 5. So your 1 through 5 would be 1, that's your 3, and then that's your 5. And so you can figure out any scale by using this application. So let's say you wanted to know, well, I'm going to give myself a challenge. What's the key of F sharp? Okay, well, we're going to start off, the root here is F sharp. Then we're going to go a whole step is G sharp or A flat. And then we got another whole. Half step, sorry. Wait, I'm messing myself up. All right, so we got the root, and then you do a whole step, and then a whole step, and then a half. So that would be on your B. And then you have a whole step, and then you have another whole step, and then you have one more whole step. So this whole step here will always land a half step underneath your root note. So I know it's a lot I'm throwing at you, and you're probably like, if you've never seen this before, or even scales and stuff, you've memorized maybe by patterns, but not actually understood what makes up a scale. But by doing this, and we'll go over this more over time, and I'll actually like print out like the scales so you can see the scales themselves, like an A scale or a B or C sharp scale. And it will help you do also lead playing, and especially bass playing. If you're a bass player, this is like necessity to know. And you could be a decent bass player with just kind of memorizing, where your fingers are and going in certain notes. But if you want to be a really good bass player, you're going to learn your scales, and you're going to learn, what notes you can play. Because sometimes, maybe a song you're hanging out on like an E chord, all right, and you're feeling this drive that you want to add something more. Well, you're doing the E, you could do like the fifth, which is a B, or you could do a walk up. You could do a walk up and then walk back down. You could go E, then, F sharp, G, F sharp, E, go like kind of, there's a lot of ways that you could embellish a song. And it's just by knowing where you're going though. And so very early on, when I was playing music, I was trying to play leads on an electric guitar, and I was with a band, and it was a good little worship band we were with. We went around to different places, different churches, did singles groups, and it was fun. We had a lot of fun with the music, and I was playing one day, and I was kind of hacking my way along, to be honest with you. So I didn't know music theory yet, and so the leader took me aside and he said, you're not really as good as what you think you are. And he didn't do it in a mean way or a rude way. It wasn't like a, condescending tone at all. I was doing things that I wasn't really sure of what I was doing, and it wasn't sounding very well. And so that comment, at first I was a little upset, but I'm like, no, wait a minute. I know who this guy is. He's a very good guy, and he's not going to be insulting. So I took it, and then I picked up a few scale books and started learning scales, and I started learning like the circle of notes, like what is music made of? What makes up chords? And then I started making up my own chords, because you could, I just stick my fingers on the guitar and then just kind of like, figure out the notes and then be like, oh, this is, this funky chord, whatever it is, 1, 3, 6, flat 7, let's say. But that comment he made really stuck with me because it was good, because it pushed me, and it pushed me to go further in music, so that later on in years when I'd play bass or I'd play lead guitar or acoustic, even just when I look at the fretboard, I can see the notes instead of just seeing empty frets and dots. I see the notes, and it's cool because it has freed me up to play a lot, and to be able to hop in and just kind of play with folks and be able to do some leads, or like I said, the bass playing is really huge. So this is just a picture of that, the 135, where you get like 1 3 5 7, or like your diminished chords, like would be a 1 flat 3, flat 5. So I know it's a little bit. I don't really have that marked on here, but it's the same concept of flat and sharpening it. Um, so yeah, we'll be like I said, we'll be hitting this more in the future, but I just kind of want to introduce it today. And the circle of notes is just a really cool way to be able to learn, and it's actually pretty easy. It may seem difficult because I know as guitar players, we hear flats and sharps, you're like, oh, I don't want to play those, because you think instantly you're going to bar chords, and yes, the bar chords can be tough and stuff, and you got to really like define your picking and your strumming so that you're because you're barring chords and then you're meeting strings sometimes, so it can be difficult. But it's worthwhile. It's worth the extra time and the effort, because you'll get to a place where you can play any chord and any kind of pattern, and you just find yourself just playing, and it opens up a whole new world of chord structures, and instead of just the typical G, C, D, E minor, A, kind of stuff. So yeah, if there's any questions, you can feel free to you can comment on the website, on YouTube. There, the Music with Tony, or you could send me an email of Music with Tony show at gmail.com, and I'll be glad to answer your questions, or if you have a particular scale that you'd like to figure out and you're not sure how to do it yet, we can figure it out, and I could post it up, and we can go from there. So I have a few songs today that I'm going to play, and one of them was one of my first songs I ever wrote. I mean, and I don't know if I'm going to play this today, but I just thought this was cool to introduce, because when I wrote it, all I had was my music book cover at the time, which obviously was chords and scales, and so I just wrote, this thing's like 26 years old, 27 years old, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I played this since then. I know I wrote it, and then but it was cool. I came across this as I was looking for material to be able to share. So I might play this at a later date when I figure out how to replay it again. But I thought this was pretty cool, though. And this stuff is it's nostalgic, because this reminds me of what I started from. I had a typical G and C chord, and then an A minor and a G and a D chord. Just some simple things. But I remember it just came along with, I learned the harmonies and just kind of did my own thing with the melody on this, and but it's fun to find stuff like this, relics. So, all right. Well, this first song I'm going to do is called Heart's Desire, and this is one of my earlier songs too, and you'll see as we kind of progress on too that like I was told early on when I started playing music to learn different styles, learn how to finger style, learn how to strum, like do alternate bass walking notes with your chords. Then other ones, different kinds of strums, that's just a simple main kind of strum. There's all kinds of different strums, but and then like muted picking is really cool. The more driving. So I've tried to incorporate those and push myself to learn more, and like some of the jazzy chords I've learned, just like different styles and or you could kind of like push it like bluesy. So it's good to learn all kinds of different styles too, especially if you're, you want to be in a band and you want to play with others. It can be a challenge at first starting. I know I've been solo for a long time, and I did have a band years and years ago I was part of, but coming back and playing with other people sometimes is difficult. And I've recently played with a few different groups together, and one of them I led, and it was just a different because I was a little bit rusty because it's different when you're playing with different people. You got to remember your signs and remember, oh yeah, I got to go to chorus at this point, and over here, whereas when I'm playing by myself, I could do whatever I want, when I want, how I want, and it's not going to like throw anybody off because it's just like, oh, this is what I'm doing. But it's fun playing with other people, and it's that is definitely a fun aspect. And when you're songwriting, and then you get to, and I've said it before, but when you get to, your songwriting, then you get this song done, and then you get other people to play on it. It's just cool. You're hearing the bass lines, you're hearing the drums, and you're hearing each person's personality as they play on this song, and it's just a lot of fun. So this song here I'm going to do, it's called Love Like You, and there's a few different picking styles that I do throughout the song you'll hear. And so again, sometimes I just do things to push myself, and because I want to do something different, not have the same strum through the whole song. And sometimes I go a little bit overboard and I just put way too much stuff in, but that's okay. That's me. I'm okay with that. So yeah, this song is called Love Like You. In the stillness of your secret place, oh yeah, I can hear you sing over me. Though you're so very far away, your love consumes my heart forever. Well, in your loving arms, that's where I want to stay. I want to love, yet to love like you, Jesus. I want to love, yet to love like you, Jesus. I choose love over anger. Oh, I choose peace over bitterness. Oh, I choose love over anger. I choose peace over bitterness. Mercy endures forever, yeah, well, forever, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I feel your warm embrace all around me. When my heart is feeling low, you gently lift my head, oh yeah. My heart is yours forever. Oh, well, in your loving arms, that's where I want to stay. I want to love, yeah, to love like you, Jesus. I want to love, yeah, to love like you, Jesus. Oh, like you, yeah. Oh, like you. Well, I want to love like you. Oh, oh, which, by the way, kind of sounds cool, bending the neck, but it's probably not really good for it. But I've been doing it for like 20 years when I have an E minor chord. I just love the sound of it. I don't know, it's just cool. You know, X is a whammy bar, but it's the only chord you can do it for on this. Doesn't really work well up higher. Yeah, I've really put the guitar through the works throughout the years, but that's funny. I was thinking the other day because, just sitting down playing, and there's a scripture verse in the Bible that says, "Play skillfully with a shout of joy," and because music is such a joyful event too. Like when you play music, there's just something that grabs you, and you can speak many different languages, but music is a universal language that everybody understands. When somebody hears a pretty chord combination, you can just like stop in your tracks and be like, "Oh, that was beautiful. That just touched me right here," And it's cool how that works. So through the years, I've explored the guitar a lot to figure out, well, what kind of sounds does the guitar make? Obviously it's the given, strumming up here. But I discovered if you pick over the 12th fret here, right over the harmonics, gives a cool little almost harpish kind of tone. It takes some practice to pick through because you're like bashing into the fret because it's so close, but it's cool though. It's just got like this cool tone. And then you can pick back here and it gets very tinny. And it's got kind of a cool tone to it too. And then there's doing some of the harmonic stuff, which is through the years. Somebody who I learned from, his name's Phil Keggy, and he's been around since, gosh, the 60s. And he's a Christian musician, and he's probably one of the greatest guitar players in the world. If you look him up, Phil Keggy, I believe he's in the top 100 like best guitar players in the world. And he is just so phenomenal and creative in what he does. And he does a lot of this tapping. And when I first started playing guitar, I went to one of his concerts, and he started doing it. And I'm like, what is he doing? You know, he's like going, tapping all over the board, you know. So I just started mimicking it at first. And then, so what I'm doing is tapping over the harmonics, which is here. Actually, let's see, we got one there, here, and then there's one more right here. It's kind of hard to get, but if you do, you can get the full harmonics to it. But it's got a pretty neat sound too. So there's this little thing I like to do. So I'm just tapping out the chords like in E minor. The hardest part about doing that is just figuring out, because basically what you're doing is you're taking that sound of the harmonics and you're moving it up the fret, because if you do it there, there's no harmonics there. So what you're doing is, so when I play, this is basically like a C chord is what I'm playing. So I'm doing the C, you know, kind of like a C2. Really, it's a C major 7th, but so I'm just tapping out the C, and then I'm moving it up to the slide, which is the D. So really, all you're doing is just moving. You know, it's just a matter of thinking and like hitting accuracy, kind of like quickly on the chords up here, but then you're getting that sound. You know. Anyway, just a little fun. So, you know, there are people who I've heard play, you know, who have learned that too, and it's fun to do. It's just kind of like a cool. It's all because it's rhythmic, and so you know you can get kind of rhythmic with it, and but have some fun. You get some cool tones out of it. So, yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that. I wasn't expecting to do that today, but I never know what's happening on the show until a lot of times it happens. So I'm very spontaneous, and but I thought that's cool. That's that. Hey, you know what? If you got any questions, again, you know, we got the email, or you can make comments on the YouTube site, and I'd be glad to get back with you. So anyway, I got one more song here I'm going to do, and this is more of a bass song. So the bass line kind of goes. But since I don't have a bass today, I'll just strum through the chords because it sounds a little bit better having the full chords with the guitar anyway. The bass sounds cool. It's got like a little bluesy thing, but it goes like this. No more chains hanging around me. No more shackles on my feet. With this freedom. With this freedom, yeah. No more sorrow pulling me down. No more guilt that was killing me softly. This freedom, yeah. I want to dance, oh, like David danced. Well, I want to dance, oh, like David danced. I want to dance, oh, like David danced. Oh, like David danced. Yeah, Lord, for you. Freedom to love and freedom to sing, freedom to hope and freedom to shout, freedom to dance and freedom to forgive, freedom to love and freedom to sing, freedom to dance and freedom to shout, freedom to hope and freedom to forgive. I want to dance, oh, like David danced. Well, I want to dance, oh, like David danced. I want to dance, oh, like David danced. Oh, like David danced. Yeah, for you. Well, I hope all you folks have a wonderful week, that the sun is shining, and that you have good days. You know, go catch a sunset or a sunrise, you know. Catch a full moon. Listen to the birds sing, you know. Just the simple things of life, you know. Especially if you're in a hurry all the time, just kind of stop every now and then and just soak up a little bit of life, you know. Every day seems to go so quick, and It's funny, my grandpa, he's like, yeah, I remember, 50 years went by like it was nothing. And it was like, oh, well, okay. I didn't understand then. I was like a teenager. But, time goes by pretty quick, and it's easy to forget the simple things in life. And I think it's important, to absorb up and be like a sponge, enjoy life. If you need prayer for anything, my email address there, you can send us an email, and I'll be sure to pray for you and your family. And I will have other people who pray, who will join in, and we'll pray together for your needs, and whatever that may be, whether it's your lack of food, or maybe it's something you need a job, maybe there's some physical things going on, and you're maybe scared. It's okay. God's got you, and He loves you so much, and that's the amazing thing. So He loves you, and He loves you for who you are, and He just wants you to come, and He will meet your needs. It's amazing. I just wanted to share that next week we're going to have a special guest. A friend of mine, she's a singer and guitar player, and she writes her own music. And she has graciously accepted the invite to come on the show. So looking forward to that. So tune in next week, and any questions on music or anything, just feel free to make some comments on our YouTube channel, and also on our email address if you need. So yeah, well, have a wonderful day today. Thank you for tuning in.